We've made 4 trades, sold 3 players, and bought 1. I'm buzzing for this one. Welcome back into Off the Wire. Last week in episode 1, I went through a Dynasty startup draft and I didn't draft a single player. When the draft was finished, I went through and I added my entire team from the waiver wire, hence the name Off the Wire. You can see where it comes from now. I was so happy to see all of the engagement last time, so many comments, which we're going to go through in a second. But if you haven't watched episode 1, go back and watch it. Take a look at the team. It is looking, I was going to say interesting. It's not. It's looking terrible. We've got Kirk Cousins as our QB1, Blake Corum as our RB1, Elika Yomenor and Keenan Allen as our wide receivers, players like Theo Johnson and Brenton Strange as our tight ends, which is kind of not too bad, but it's not too bad compared to the rest of the team. I am so excited for this series going forwards, and in this episode, I am going to show you through some of the additions that I made to the team, but also I'm going to talk you through some of the comments that you guys made and looking at some of the trades that I made in the first week of this league existing. Like I said at the start of the video, I've made 4 trades. I've sold 3 players and I've bought 1. And it's a player that a lot of people on Twitter were saying that I should be looking towards, and someone that's been featured in a couple of prominent videos lately. So it's definitely someone that I'm quite happy to have on the team. But let's start off by taking a little bit of a look at your comments. And thank you so much for all of the engagement. We had a lot of people offering some advice and thinking about what they would do in the same situation. So starting off, Sean Nichols, 8170. One strategy I've always been tempted to try is not having a tight end on my roster until I decide it's time to compete. That way you have 0 maximum points scored from the tight end and almost guarantee you get the 101 for a couple of years. But then adds at the end, and this I think is the key point, granted, at this time you will most likely have that anyway. Yeah, I am pretty much guaranteed to have the 101 for at least the next 2 seasons, and I'm fine with that. I'm intrigued to know the theory here, and I think it's an interesting one. Do you completely sack off one position and just go, I'm going to get 0 points from this position, and then I'm going to lock in the 101? But to be honest, I think we probably don't need to. Like, the team is bad enough already that we're probably going to end up getting the 101, but I really appreciate the idea. I think it's a really interesting one. We then had the Besterer saying Chubb is a good idea. Chubb's always a good idea. Just grab him real quick, and the millisecond he signs with a team, his value quadruples, and probably sell him to the owner of the team he signs with, like Brian Robinson or DeAndre Swift, and get some nice picks or stashes. Now, I loved this one, and obviously in the last week, Nick Chubb did sign with the Texans, so you could pick him up and sell him to the Mixon owner. Unfortunately, with the waiver run, I didn't manage to get Nick Chubb. I didn't bid high enough on him, so unfortunately, that one didn't happen, but I love the idea behind it. We had a few more, and if I don't talk about your comment in the episode, apologies, I can't get through all of them because we had 44, but thank you so much for contributing, and know that everything went into my thinking for the next time. Crispy Palmer 33 gave a really interesting one. Would you think about buying injured players like Tank Dell on the gamble that they will increase in value when healthy and won't harm your maximum points for this year? Now, that is a really interesting one. I mean, obviously, my maximum points for aren't going to be particularly high, so it's not going to be like I'm in danger, but being able to stash someone on IR is really interesting. So let me know down below, do you think someone like Tank Dell or Jonathan Brooks could be interesting to stash on IR and then keep ready for the season after that? So looking towards 2026. Tank Dell, I'm not particularly sure. I was really high on Tank Dell after his rookie season, but now them going out and drafting 2 wide receivers, and the problem is that I think some of them are a little bit similar. I think it's a little bit similar to the Tank Dell role. I've completely forgotten the name of the other Iowa State receiver that they drafted. Jalen Knoll. There you go. He was one of my guys this offseason, but sometimes when you're recording to camera, the name completely goes. I think Jalen Knoll is a little similar to Tank Dell, just a little bit more robust. So I'm not particularly sure about going and getting Tank Dell, but it's worth the gamble. So let me know if you think it's worth sending one of my thirds. I've hinted at one of the trades there. If it's worth sending a 3rd round pick for Tank Dell. I also think in season, buying an injured player is a really interesting thing to do. So thank you so much, Crispy, for suggesting that. Definitely something we can consider. Then the last, no, I've got two more comments I'm going to talk through. Michael Doherty said, I'd probably go for Ertz off the wire. He was tight end 7 last year. He's old as hell, but still really productive, which is quite key to this team. You could sell him for a later pick in season pretty easily. Now, Zach Ertz, I did target, and I'll spoil it for you that I didn't manage to get Zach Ertz. You'll see when we go through the waiver wire in a minute. But I did manage to get another interesting tight end, who might even be on the same team in direct competition with Zach Ertz. But thank you, Michael, for suggesting that. I did give it a go. We didn't manage to get it. Then the final comment, we had a fantastic, really in-depth comment from Josh Gown, who said, first of all, love the concept and look forward to watching along. And that's not the whole comment, but it is always nice to read. So thank you, Josh. Personally, at quarterback, he'd pick up Deshaun Watson and put him on IR as he won't take up a roster spot. Then could consider Jameis Winston over Milton or Rattler, as well as if he gets a start, you can spin him for a pick or player as he's guaranteed points while he's a starter. Jameis Winston is a really interesting one. Deshaun Watson, someone you can consider, but probably isn't ever going to play a snap ever again, and also not someone I really want on my team. But Jameis Winston is a really interesting one. We're going to come back to Jameis Winston later on in the video. Then at running back, Taj Brooks or Zach Moss, he would pick up and drop Mostert. I'm not too keen on dropping Mostert because Pete Carroll came out earlier this week and said that he's the clear running back 2, and I think an Ashton Genty injury and Mostert is going to double in value. But he said you guarantee the Bengals backup, or if Chase Brown is inefficient again, they could see what they have in Brooks. Then he said, is Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt still out there, as he has a decent amount of upside at Washington? Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt was still out there on waivers. We'll take a look as to whether or not I managed to get him on my team. But Taj Brooks and Zach Moss, very interesting players. I wish we had a little bit more clarity about the way that backfield is shaping up in terms of running back 2. I think Taj Brooks probably ends up taking the spot because Zach Moss really isn't being paid a huge amount and was obviously injured last season. But something we definitely want to take a look at if we can get some upside there. So thank you so much for all of your comments. I also put out a tweet, and you can make sure you follow me on Twitter, ff_pancake, because I talk about the series a lot there to get some opinion, asking who you would go out and buy for a 26th third. And there were so many responses, and we've managed to action a couple of them. So without further ado, let's take a look at how the first waiver wire run went and some of the trades that I've managed to make in week 1 of the league. So you should be able to see the league now, and you can see straight away the first trade that I made, and this was before waivers even happened. I traded Trevor Etienne to another player in the league for a 3rd round pick. I basically said afterwards, look, anyone on my roster make an offer for, I'm happy to look into anything, and a 3rd round pick is a really nice way to go. Etienne isn't a player that I really like too much. I think he came in as my RB17 post-draft, so getting a 3rd round pick for him, I'm quite happy, and I've not targeted particular teams in the league that look stronger or weaker, because I don't think they're really taking shape like that just yet, but selling Etienne for a 3rd is really nice. Some of my thoughts are that I can package some of these 3s to try and move up into the 2nd, or look in season to flip them using some of the players I've already got. But basically, in a league like this, accumulating draft capital is going to be absolutely huge. So that is trade 1, and we have our first trade. Nice. Getting on the action, fellas. Then we have the waiver claims, so the first waiver wire claims. And I did expand the rosters by a couple of spots, which the league agreed to, just to make it easier for people to stash players. They were quite narrow, but to give me a nice roster and then let everyone expand theirs a little bit as well. So there's a huge amount of claims. We had Kyle Monangai going to Denver's roster. Taj Brooks went to Denver's roster. I also made an offer on him. A.D. Mitchell joins the squad. Now, this is someone I put out a tweet yesterday, or no, not yesterday, because it was before the waivers. I put out a tweet saying, who would you buy for a 3rd? And everyone was saying A.D. Mitchell. His metrics from his rookie season were really exciting. He is a true athletic project, but he now joins the squad, and it's someone that I'd potentially look to sell for a 2 in season if things start to go well, but A.D. Mitchell now joins the team. I'm really happy with this one. Michael Wilson went to one Dave Hendo. Quinn Ewers went to A. Dizzle. What's the sitch? Jerome Ford to Dave Hendo. Aronde Gadsden. Malik Willis. Hunter Henry. I did put in an offer on because I do like Hunter Henry as a win now piece and thought we could sell in season, but it didn't happen. Jake Browning went to Rich Bilkey, which I'm not entirely sure on, but fair enough. Romeo Dubs joined the team for just $2. Again, Romeo Dubs, there's been links of him potentially being traded, potentially moving on elsewhere. So I thought he's someone that actually could provide some value, but also he's a relatively decent starter if I can have him and someone likes the idea of him on Green Bay if Christian Watson moves on, and he starts in 2 wide receiver sets opposite Matthew Golden. He could provide some value, so he could be worth something. So he joins the team. Riley Leonard went to Funky Janket's Tesla. I did bid for. A lot of you said to bid on Tesla, and I didn't manage to get him, which I'm sorry about, but he did go to Jay Les. We managed to get Ben Sinnott. That's the one that I hinted at earlier today. So Ben Sinnott obviously was a second-round pick last year and had a really disappointing rookie season. But he's an athletic project. There's a real opportunity for him to overtake Zach Ertz. And again, I think this is someone that you can get for free who will develop. So Ben Sinnott joins the team. I'm really happy with that tight end room now of Sinnott, Brenton Strange, and Theo Johnson. I think one of them has a really good shot of breaking out, or more. We have a really good shot of one of them breaking out. We're taking shots on young athletic projects and hoping that they can develop into fancy superstars and then anchor our team going forwards. Deshaun Watson. Oh, I didn't bid on Deshaun Watson. He goes to Funky Jankets. I'm quite happy not having Deshaun Watson for many different reasons, but I'm quite happy not having him on the team. Eric All went. Then we get onto the trades. Spencer Rattler leaves the team. Spencer Rattler leaves the team and goes to my friend Paul Pickin for a 3rd-round pick. Again, I'm quite happy just flogging players for thirds and seeing what happens. Then we carry on down and another trade. We send Will Shipley to Kilmo, who is the Saquon Barkley owner, for a 3rd-round pick. So now we're sitting here with 4 threes. And we're looking absolutely fantastic. Now, they're only 3rd-round picks, but considering the state of our team, it is huge to start getting some extra draft capital in. So I was really happy with that. We have some AI videos. Nick Chubb, I didn't manage to get. Jalen Lane went. Jameis Winston, we did pick up. Obviously, we made some roster space with those trades. So Jameis Winston does then join the team. I like the upside of someone like Jameis. It feels like he could easily get moved on if there's an injury elsewhere. And like the comment said, he always has fancy upside when he's a starter. So I think he's a really nice piece to add to the team. Will Howard. I went for Jordan Whittington. I think there's a chance he starts in 3 wide receiver sets. We'll start to hear the rumors through minicamp and see if it seems likely that he's going to have a role on the field. I know they paid Tutu Atwell, but Jordan Whittington can provide more of what Cooper Kupp used to. I think Whittington was drafted with Kupp's departure in mind. So I think Whittington's an interesting one. Mason Rudolph gets picked up. Zach Ertz gets picked up. I missed out on that. Miles Sanders. Then, here's the trade. I went out and sent one of the 3rd-round picks that I got from someone else to get Roschon Johnson. Again, this is someone that came up all the time on Twitter as someone you should be looking to target, and in recent videos on Underdog has been spoken about as an exciting player for this season. And the upside of Roschon is that we love the Ben Johnson system for running backs, and Roschon profiles more as the Jamal Williams, David Montgomery type than DeAndre Swift does. We also know that Ben Johnson doesn't like DeAndre Swift, and we've managed to get through the whole offseason avoiding them drafting a rookie high, avoiding them drafting a rookie at all until either the 7th round or maybe it was a UDFA. We've now, Nick Chubb's gone, J.K. Dobbins is gone. Like, who are we scared of to take the role from them? They might make a trade, but currently, Roschon Johnson is going to be at least the backup or the 1B to DeAndre Swift. I think he's going to provide a lot of value this season, and getting him for a 3, if DeAndre Swift gets injured, you could easily get a 2 for him, maybe even more. And in season, this is someone I think we're going to be able to flog for a fair amount more. So let me know, did I make a mistake buying Roschon? Should I have been stocking up on picks? But I like to see the picks as really kind of malleable assets. We're going to get loads. We're going to spend them. We're going to take shots on players. If I send Roschon for get him for a 3 and someone comes in with a 2 in a couple of weeks, I'll take that deal and I'll cash out, and then I'll try and get from that 2 up to a 1 with someone else. So I'm really happy with this one. Zach Moss then got claimed. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt got claimed, but I didn't have roster space. So that is where we are currently sat. And the team is looking basically the same here. You can see any pick for a nice win now piece for Adam Thielen. Yeah, I think the team's looking a little bit nicer than it was with these guys on Taxi Squad here. We're going to come back to these in a second. So, a couple of things I wanted to ask your opinion on, and I need you to let me know down below what you think. The first one is quarterbacks. I want to know what you guys think we need to do at the quarterback position. Is this something we're just going to punt for the time being and wait until we can get one in the draft with the 101 next year, potentially looking at some of the exciting quarterbacks coming out then? Or are we going to look at potentially trading for them when we have assets down the line? I'm willing to keep taking shots on backups. Like I've got Kirk Cousins, I've got Joe Milton, I've got now Jameis Winston as well. There's players that we have, but we are never going to do anything if we can't get a starting quarterback. The other option is that we start trying to be more active in trying to get quarterbacks. So, for example, could we look at Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson? Could we look at Joe Flacco? Could we look at Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders? Are there players we can trade with some of those extra thirds to try and take some more shots on quarterbacks? I want you to let me know down below in the comments what you think I should do, and if there's any quarterbacks you think I need to be targeting. I mean, the other option is, do we take that 101 and go and spend it on a player now? Do we go and take a 101 and spend it on a quarterback and have that player locked in? It's something I've debated about, maybe taking the second when people know it's going to be the first pick of the second and getting a player locked into the roster now that we think is someone who's going to be a long-term pillar of this team. But I want to know down below. The other thing is that I have had an interesting trade offer through. Someone has offered me their second round pick in 2026. So we've managed to get a few thirds. We've not managed to get a second yet, for Brashard Smith of the Chiefs and Elic Ayomanor of the Tennessee Titans. Now, interestingly, despite the fact these were both on waivers, I said no, because I think we need to start thinking about some of the assets, selling them when they're at their highest. And if we can wait until midway through training camp or even in season for players like Smith and Ayomanor, we might be able to get more. But also, I think these are the two of the players on the team that have a chance of actually breaking out alongside Torrey Horton. So I immediately said no, because I didn't think it's something I wanted to do, because I think selling them for a 2 now is probably not quite enough. But I want you to let me know if it's something you think I should be doing. Do I take the second round pick now, try and reinvest it, get someone better? Basically, you guys need to let me know down below in the comments where you think I should be looking. Should I take that trade and get the 2026 second? Should I be looking to target a quarterback? Also, let me know if you think I've made some good moves, some bad moves, if you think Roshan is a good addition. I'm really happy with Roshan Johnson. I have very low expectations for this team. So for me, immediately, the moment anything looks good, I'm absolutely delighted about it. So let me know down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.